We need to provide that foundation, that solid foundation of logic that people can stand upon, where they start saying, damn, we see men of substance in today's society, right? And that's going to recourse that illogical emotional thinking of, well, men are just toxic and men are this and men are that. No, we are men of logic that brings those abstract thoughts into
what's
reality.
going on?
Seneca said that it's a good thing to find pleasure in one's own company, but only if you've made yourself enjoyable. This is the Better Man channel, where we choose to find that joy that brings about more than bitterness, that brings about more than poor, pitiful me, that brings about more than oppression. We choose to be men that find ourselves enjoyable. We have that it factor, that we truly enjoy being with ourselves, and maybe, hopefully, we can attract that small circle of friends and relationships that enjoy being around us as well. That's what we're called to do, to be a man that has that it factor. Think about it. We admire those men that they've got something. You can recognize it. You know they're filled with something a little greater than the rest of the world. They have that substance. They have the substance to be more than just another sheep in this plan of life. They have that it factor, and we can almost be envious of that. And not only do they have it, they bring it into reality. You see concrete consequences of that substance that they're filled with. And we need men of substance in this world today. We see a culture they're filled with something, but it's not quite substance. They're filled with the shit of the new shiny object. They're filled with the shit of the new materialistic chase. They're filled with the shit of the propaganda. They're filled with this shit, that shit. They're filled with bullshit. And we see the consequences of that flowing through the streets of society. We need strong men that have that it factor, filled with substance. And so the question becomes, well, what exactly is that substance? Because it's not easily defined. And the idea here is that it factor is some inner quality, right? It's an inner belief. It's this inner drive. It's this inner tradition to be more. It's this abstract way of thinking, this intangible thought that, when created or when molded, brings into action. It brings it into this concrete action, this reality. It brings substance to life, and we can see it. We as men are created to be these logical thinkers, right? If you're anywhere in the manosphere, you see that kind of rebuttal of feminists is, well, we're men of logic, you guys are emotional, and that kind of bites you in the ass. Well, as men of logic, we need to start implementing that tool, that utility, employing it, especially in today's society where everybody is irrational and illogical. We need to provide that foundation, that solid foundation of logic that people can stand upon, where they start saying, damn, we see men of substance in today's society. Right? And that's going to recourse that illogical emotional thinking of, well, men are just toxic and men are this and men are that. No, we are men of logic that brings those abstract thoughts into reality, where people start saying, damn, they've got it. They have that factor. Think about the men of old, the men of old ages, the past ages of antiquity that we admire. They were men of substance. They had that it factor, and you're almost envious of what they had. But we all have it. Everybody's capable of diving into and begin to explore, find, and integrate that substance into their life, right? We men of logic should be able to mold and think about a thought so precisely that we can bring it into reality, the solid thought that people can come and sit upon. It's an actual foundation of thinking and principles and logic that the rest of the world and society in general can set upon and build something upon, because we see shaky ground right now. We see people building shit on quicksand, and they wonder why it's not working. It's because they're not filled with that substance, or at the very least, they're not bringing that substance into reality, into concrete thinking. And we see a world of daydreamers, right? There's no better way to say that than we see a world of daydreamers. It's that kind of, we want the easy button, easy way out. It's supposed to be this way in my mind. It's supposed to be easy. I'm supposed to just think it and it happens, right? We see these figments of imagination where everything's supposed to be easy and handed to me. But when that's your school of thought, you never really bring that into the concrete, because we as men, logical thinkers, know that it takes action, it takes work, it takes consistency, it takes perseverance. Nothing is truly just handed to you, and anything that comes easy, that makes me step back and think, well, wait, is it going to last? What's the agenda behind it? What's really going on here? So men of logic should bring those abstract greatness, that abstract value, and that inner quality to be more. We should bring that into reality and practicality, right? Any substance that you have should be practical, or it's just a figment of your imagination. And that's what makes great men great. They can bring that inner dream. They can bring that inner great. They can bring that abstract thought into reality, because any of us can dream. Any of us can get caught up in that daydreaming factor, that imagination, that utopia state of mind. But it takes logical thinking and concrete actions to bring it into reality. And that's what we need to see today. We see it in politics. We see in these different ism movements. We see in the culture wokeness. They have these ideas of what life should be, but who's going to actually bring it into reality? And I think we get confused a lot of times on this utopia state of mind and what truly is reality. So men of substance, or it's imperative, man. We definitely need men of substance that have that it factor to step up in those leader roles, those leadership roles, where we have these ideas of prominent substance, not shit-filled substance, like the rest of the policies of government or these new wokest agendas or this propaganda from corporations trying to sell you their idea. No. We need actual substance, values, principles, traditions that build a foundation that somebody can stand upon. And I promise you, just look around you. The rest of the world is in such chaos, such confusion. This young generation identifies as this, don't have an identity. They're looking, searching for this, clinging to this new trend. Men that can actually bring a foundation and say, this is what you stand upon. This is something that's actually going to sustain you and provide for you in the long run, and not just scratch that little temporary itch that you have right now. We as men were created to bring those abstract dreams into reality with logic and with practicality. That's what you're created to do as a man, and that's a great calling, a great responsibility, a great privilege. And we speak about it in the manosphere. We're men of logic. We think this and that. Okay, but it's not enough to think it. We actually have to bring that into fruition. We have to extract those abstract thoughts and render them useful, right? And that's, we've relied so long on government to do that, right? They'll implement these policies. They have that it factor, and they'll bring it to us and they're for us. But we're waking up and seeing that the government has lost all touch of reality. They're corrupted. It's by greed and bigger corporations coming in with their agendas and their principles, their so-called values. We as men, if we want to recourse society, if we want to recourse the direction, are called to greater things, man. And that's to bring these great truths into reality, to create that foundation. The founding fathers of this declaration, whether everything's 100% right or wrong, the men were flawed, so maybe we do have a flawed system, but that was the idea behind them. Those were men of substance that brought it into reality. Right? It's not enough to be filled with something. You have to actually bring it into reality. So we have to begin to ask ourselves, like Seneca said, man, it's good to enjoy yourself because you've made yourself enjoyable. We have something inner within us. Can we begin to enjoy what we have because we've brought it into reality for something that we can enjoy, and maybe that circle around us and our relationships that we're involved with can enjoy that as well? And what if everybody began to go inward and find that substance, that in factor, those abstract thoughts, and brought them into reality? What if that was everybody's duty? What if everybody accepted that responsibility to rise to the occasion and bring that substance, that it factor, into reality? What if we accepted that role, that responsibility? I believe the world would be a better place if everybody just focused on what the hell can I do to enjoy myself, to make myself enjoyable, to bring these abstract ideas that I have, because who knows? One of us may have the next revolutionary idea, but what are we doing to bring it into logically practicality, usefulness for the rest of the world? And as men, That's one of our main characteristics, right? To go into that thought and say, yes, let me carve away at the ignorance. Let me shape it into something that somebody can stand upon, and let me logically bring that into reality. It's a great calling. I wish I wish men would be applauded for that logical thinking, but we also have to accept that responsibility to bring that substance into reality. We're not filled with shit. We're filled with substance. We need to begin to embrace that and build some thought patterns that people can actually come stand upon and say, I can see higher from up here than those lower standards than I've been enslaved in for so long. I love you guys. You are logical thinkers created to go into that abstract, bring it into reality, and be a man of substance. You will hear from me next episode.